It's well known that vintage video games that use a light gun don't work with modern widescreen high definition LCD TVs. But what about 4:3 aspect ratio LCD TVs? Do they work with light gun games? Let's find out. For testing, I'll be using the Atari XE game system, which was the 1987 reboot of Atari's 8-bit computer line as a video game console, including then fashionable diagonal lines, pastel-colored buttons, a detachable keyboard, the same old joystick in a new shade of gray, and a light gun. Unfortunately, only a handful of light gun games were released for it, but I do have two of the most common ones, Bug Hunt and Barnyard Blaster. There's nothing special about the light gun itself. It looks very similar to the one that came with the Sega Master System. Instead of black, it's light gray, and usually in the process of slowly turning yellow, like the keyboard. First, to prove that the light gun works, I'll be testing it with a CRT monitor, my trusty Amdek Color 1, which is basically a Hitachi TV with the tuner removed. The pack-in game that came with the light gun is called Bug Hunt. And this gun is not known for having the best accuracy. It tends to shoot to the right of where you're actually pointing it, so I'll need to keep that in perspective when I'm testing it with LCDs, if any of them show any signs of working with it. Next is Barnyard Blaster. So it's definitely working. So now we'll have to see if it can work with any of the LCD TVs. Here's the LCD TV that I think stands the greatest chance of actually working with the light gun. It's a little 13-inch Gateway L13M103 from 2003. It has a 640 by 480 LCD panel, and it's strictly standard definition. So there's no HD upscaling or anything. So that should mean it has the lowest amount of lag and the best chance of working with a light gun. That may seem like it works, but unfortunately it does not. The computer does register the shot, but it doesn't matter where I point it. It's always going in the same place. So I can go down here, and it still thinks I'm shooting up there. In fact, I can cover the gun entirely, and it still registers the shot in the same place. So, unfortunately, it's not working. And there's no settings in the menu for this that could possibly make a difference. There's no game mode or anything like that. Just typical brightness and contrast. So, unfortunately, the little gateway doesn't work with the light gun. Next is this Sylvania LC200 SL8 made by Funai in 2007. It's an EDTV, enhanced definition television, but the resolution of the LCD panel is still only 640 by 480, so no HD upscaling. And when I included this TV in a video about EDTV, one person in the comments said it did work with a light gun, which was my inspiration for making this video to see if that's actually true. And at first it may look like it works, but again, where I point does not correspond to where it registers. It always picks up in the right hand corner over there. See? No matter where I point, it's still registering in that corner. And it varies. I've tried this before, and it would pick another spot on the screen, and sometimes it would be completely random. And again, there's nothing in the menu that could possibly influence it. Under picture, it just has the normal brightness, contrast, color, tint, and sharpness. So there's no game mode, there's no motion flow setting like modern TVs have. It's very simple, so it either works or it doesn't, and unfortunately, it doesn't. Next is an Olivia LT20S made by Syntax in 2005, and this one has a glossy panel on the LCD so you can see a reflection of everything in my room. This one also has a 20-inch LCD, but it's 800 by 600 resolution, which makes me even less confident that it will work because it has to do some upscaling to fit the NTSC video signal on this panel, which means it's going to introduce some lag, and therefore it's pretty much guaranteed not to work with the light gun, but I'm going to try it anyway. And unfortunately that is the case because no matter where I aim it, it either picks one spot and keeps shooting the same location, or in this case it's not even showing up on the TV at all. So again, there's some variability, but it never corresponds to where I'm pointing. So it's a no-go with this one, just as I suspected. Next is a very similar TV because it's also from 2005 and also has a 20-inch 800 by 600 resolution LCD. It's a Magnavox 20MF 605T made by Philips. And unfortunately, it's basically the same result. It picks one spot, and no matter where you aim, it keeps firing there. So you have no control over where it's registering, just the same as the last TV. But you may have noticed that this has nonetheless become my new main workshop LCD TV, and that's because it's a much higher quality and more reliable TV than that Olivia I was using previously, which quite a few times I had to turn off the computer and turn it back on to get a stable image because otherwise it would be all corrupted, which is a problem I noted in my original review of that TV, and it certainly hasn't got any better. But this one, you just plug it in, turn it on, and it always works. Plus it does 720p and 1080i over the component input, so it's HD capable even though it doesn't have an HD resolution LCD panel. Finally, my latest acquisition, which is fitting because it's a Sharp Aquos LC20B8US. No date of manufacture printed on it, which I thought was a requirement, but according to the reviews I found, it seems to be from 2005 as well. And this one has a whole host of picture options, including a game mode, which I have enabled. And down in advanced menu, you can select interlaced or progressive. I have it set to interlaced. Noise clean, I turned that off. Film mode, I turned that off. And something called quick shoot, which is on by default. I have no idea what that means, if it has anything to do with shooting a light gun. We'll find out. And the other unique thing about this TV is something I didn't even know existed until a couple months ago. This is also a 20-inch 4:3 aspect ratio LCD, but it's 1024 by 768 resolution, which is great if you're using it as a computer monitor through its VGA input or using it to watch HD content through its component input, but unfortunately it's not so great if you want to use it to play light gun games, because as is becoming a trend so far, it doesn't work. The shot does not register where you point it. It either picks one spot and keeps going there, or goes completely off the screen, just as we've seen before with the other TVs. And this is with that quick shoot option enabled. Maybe I'll try turning it off and see if it makes a difference. Okay, I turned quick shoot off. So, does that make any difference? No, again, it's picking one spot and firing there no matter where I point it. So that quick shoot option, whatever it does, I still have no clue, makes no difference to light gun games. They do not work on this TV, which is a shame because otherwise it will be the best of the bunch by far. Okay, I referenced the manual, and under game mode it says controlling the brightness of video games and other images for easier viewing. So nothing to do with reducing input lag, as you might think. And under quick shoot, it says it's for providing sharp pictures suitable for fast-moving images, such as a sports program. So it says that may cause image noise, which is something that happens in other TVs when you enable the game mode to reduce the input lag. So this actually seems like more of a game mode than the actual game mode is. But either way, it wasn't good enough to enable light gun to work. But it does work with this little Sony 5-inch color Watchman if you are close enough and have good aim. Yeah, not the best, but at least it proves it works. So unfortunately, that turned out to be a blowout. But to be honest, that's pretty much what I expected. Now, some hoser in the YouTube comments did say this TV works with light gun games, and because my zapper just came in from eBay in time to finish this video, in case they pop up again to say there's something wrong with the Atari gun and that's why it didn't work, well, let's try the Nintendo zapper gun with Duck Hunt. Nope, doesn't work. Even if I put it right at it, still doesn't work. So, conclusive proof, LCD TVs don't work with light gun games.